All right, so here I'm seeing now, Facebook part should be going even better now. I think it's going now. I just pressed a very important button. If you're streaming, you have to press go live. You cannot just speak to, you cannot just speak in front of the camera or in front of the laptop without pressing go live. That's how it works. So this is actually going to be the topic of 2021, go live. Life is inviting us, but also we have to invite life. I love it. The symbolism of this stream is just coming to me from all different sources, including you looking back at me and including my technology pieces. So as mentioned before, thank you. As mentioned before, hello. As mentioned before, 2021, as it is in 2.5 months, gave us a little bit of taste. What is the possibility of this upcoming month? Also, why this specific day and specific time was very interesting. As I kind of was doing my own reflection, I realized that we are exactly more or less month away, or 1 year away from the date that we all globally went into this situation of the lockdown. And I think we almost all of us spend 365 more or less days living a slightly different reality from the reality that we had prior the year 2020. And of course, as many of you are who are watching me somewhat related to the movement industry, to the wellness industry, I am going to use this analogy of new moon and our bodies, our physical bodies, as the representation of natural source, right? Our body as this plant, more or less, or this organism that grows in the nature. So following the sequences of moons and new moon specifically, I think is very symbolical. It's also very intuitive. It helps our intuition to tune into how we feel, why we feel the way that we feel, and important steps and actions that we can take in order to help ourselves to be more balanced, to be healthier in all aspects of our life. So as this new moon approaching today, it's actually, I think, in the United States territory, it is actually happening right now at about 1 p.m. Eastern time. And so as we're speaking about this right now, there's this beautiful new moon that in most history of humankind, in all agriculture, in the northern hemisphere, we know that this is the time to plant new seeds, to plant seeds of new awareness. And whatever we're going to plant this spring, now just about the equinox to appear in the sky on the 20th of March. This is what we're going to harvest in September. So watching our thoughts, watching our intentions during this time, during this weekend is incredibly crucial. And then seeing and noticing what we are about to harvest in September on the full moon, and also later on in a year time, what we are about to harvest in a year time from now. So to just give you a little example, think of what we collectively planted last year about this time. All right, I was definitely not sure that this situation, the global situation that we have planted as collective. Not somebody else somewhere else did this for us or to us. It happened for all of us. And it started the same time last year. And look at this situation year afterwards. 1 year after, we are still swimming in the consequences of that global situation that we've been experiencing last March, last April, last spring, last summer, last autumn, all the way up to here. Although I hope most of us are feeling a little bit more optimistic, feeling a little bit of relief, or feeling a little breath of fresh air, that things are starting to change a little bit for, I hope, a lot of us. I think for a lot of us that are here in the United States or in the territory, at least of the Northern Americas, I think we are feeling that there is a change coming up with the global situation. I'm not going to call it any specific names so that our stream goes out there without any restrictions. But I think as we call it a global situation, we all relate to this global situation on different levels. For some of us, we actually had health issues that we had to deal with. For some of us, it is probably still some economic challenges that we are facing, some societal challenges that we are facing with isolation and stuff like this. So somehow this global situation touched all of us in different ways. So it's not the question, why did this happen to us, but why did it happen for us, and specifically for you? Why did it happen for you? Why did it happen for me? What is there? What the awareness was there that I had to withdraw or take out from this situation, from this interesting, let's call it a lesson, if we are in some type of big cosmic school of life, of aliveness, school of aliveness. That's what it is. And we are just playing with this. And also, I'm going to drive this a little bit to coincide this new moon and this year since the pandemic and lockdown started to the Gene Key 22, because if some of you know, and some of you who followed my work know, that I work quite a lot with gene keys. Gene keys are our genetic coding that we can look at under microscopes and find its structure. But we also can relate to our genetics, not just from the point of view of genetics, of this material form of how our gene look and express. But we can also look at genetics from epigenetic point, and the point where it's not about how they look, but how these genes feel. And we all have a very specific genetic structure. And then if we have a specific genetic structure that we can see that expresses itself, we also have a very specific epigenetic structure that expresses itself in a very specific way. And we also know now from the science of epigenetic that we have power. That's what it is. It's a power, it's awareness to work with our epigenetics, meaning with our thoughts, because our epigenetics are responsible for our thoughts and our environment and our lifestyle. So you can take our epigenetics, meaning everything that we really as humans can be responsible for, and translate them into our genetics. So we can take all this feeling, thinking, reality of ours and bring it down to the level of physicality, to the level of our bodies, of who we are and how we are, how we say, how we speak, how we look, and how we communicate, and what we actually create with our communication and through our communication. So the Gene Key transit exactly for this new moon, it's actually finished yesterday. We're moving into this next Gene Key, doesn't matter, but the Gene Key was Gene Key 22. And I would like to use this Gene Key also as a reference point for all of us to get a sense of what collectively we have been and are probably still experiencing. Because the shadow of that Gene Key is the shadow of dishonor. So it's a dishonor, or inability to own, or inability to be responsible for that what we have created. And to make it even more visual, because that's how it works in my brain, and I hope that will be maybe a helpful description for some of you, I'm going to use our own bodies, as an analogy for what is happening to us in the year 2020, in the year 2021, and upcoming year. So in the year of 2020, all of us collectively, think of our collective population of the world, had a major injury. Here we go. The trainer in me, the fitness professional in me starts to speak the body terms. So we all had a major injury that immobilized us. We are unable to move. We had, let's say, some spinal injury, and it is, in a way, it's interesting because there were some issues with very specific sign that is responsible for our spine, for our structures, for how strong our bones are. And so as we had this injury, it immobilized us clearly, and we can experience this on individual level and on collective level. We were not able to go anywhere. We were simply where we are for a very, very, very long time. So kind of think of like if you had your arm broken, you had to put a cast on your arm, and you can't really do much because you need to rest and rest and rest even more and be by yourself more and do less of the things that you've done before. So that has been our 2020. Feel free to comment on this, being in a cast, being in the state of immobility for a while, and if you can relate to this. And this is what I think personally, as I asked this question in the headline, what did you lose? I think for a lot of us here, we can say that we have lost the sense of freedom. We all related to this ability to move around as the sense of freedom. Right? It's all very relative here. It's about analogies here. It's about comparing how we feel about it, but also how our bodies express this situation. So we lost our freedoms. Was it really our freedom, or was it just our pattern of movement over and over and over again, and going with the same pattern of movement, doing the same tasks over and over again? Those of you out there that are movement professionals, if you have, for example, a movement pattern that is dysfunctional, and you continue repeating this movement pattern over and over and over and over and over again, you're going to break your body. You're going to break your organism. You're going to break a body part, or you're going to snap your spine. That would happen to us. We were moving in this dysfunction for a very long time, and then our collective body, our collective psyche snapped, and it says, no more. You cannot continue this way, because eventually you can cause even larger damage to yourself. So we had to be in a cast. We had to go through the situation of quarantine and isolation. And I know that there are parts of the world, and there are parts of this country where I am in the United States that are opening up right now to its full capacity. Have no judgment, but just think from the perspective of recovery, from the perspective of rehabilitation. If you had your spine broken, if you had your arm broken, we're just taking off the cast of our injured body, of our injured body part, immediately jumping into the same load of movement, into the same or even larger capacity to move. What's going to happen again? You're going to move back again into that dysfunctional pattern, with that part of your body being completely weakened and not fully rehabilitated, recovered, and strengthened. And so even a greater injury is going to happen to that body. I hope you're seeing where I'm going with this. So the year 2021 for us is the year of rehabilitation, of taking off the cast and then looking at this part of our psyche, or this part of our bodies that are injured, that are very vulnerable right now, and give them that extra time, that extra love, that extra attention to strengthen them, so that in the year ahead of us, in the 2022, we are living in a stronger body as a collective, or as your own body, or is your own psyche, or is your own reality. So I hope you understand, and you could see how this analogy of our body being injured, needing time to recover, but also needing time to go into rehab, to go into training, to get that part of the body back online. Yes, I see some beautiful, beautiful comments on reintegration consciousness. Yes, so doing that reintegration consciously. But even before we go into the state of moving or rehabilitating consciously, I also would like us to work with this Jinki 22 and step back and see how I'm going to speak about myself. And I'm hoping that you're also able to do that for yourself. How am I responsible for what is happening or what has happened? And responsibility is not guilt. Responsibility is not shame. Responsibility is about accountability. So in injury prevention or in recovery, if we are not teaching our clients or our patients to take responsibility for their sickness or for their disorder or for their illness, we are teaching nothing, and we have no business to actually deal with other people. If we are not telling people how to be more independent in their recoveries, in their ways and their approaches to life as they recover. So as we are recovering right now, right, as we are about having this moment of kind of looking and seeing a little bit of hope in this global situation, we are starting to turn away, I think, in a way, from the capacity of this learning experience. It's incredible that throughout this whole year, and I am within this industry, I read quite a lot of things that are, considering, touching upon the issues of health and balance and mindfulness. There was so little awareness on strengthening our bodies against any type of viruses, against any type of disorders or diseases that might still be coming to us. Instead, it was all about this other issue, right, that is very popular right now. When can we get what can we get? How can we just get over it faster? How can we get protected faster? How can we fix it in 1 or 2 times in 2 or 5 weeks? And how can we just forget about this so that never happened to us? It's not the issue. That's not what we're learning. I'm simply not seeing how we are learning what is needed to be learned. It's simply trying to skip the step and run away from it so that we don't have to face it again. Right? So the issue is still there. We are not taking care, as a global population, we're not taking care of our physical bodies. We're not taking care of our mental bodies and our emotional bodies. And then that all encompasses our spiritual life. But I think we got to understand right now that they all very much connected to each other, because what happens to people in China is going to happen to people in the United States, and what is going to happen to people in the United States is going to happen to people in Brazil. So just the same way that all population of the world is connected, same connection happens within us, within our body parts, within the way that we feel about those body parts, within and how these body parts tell us about ourselves, right? About our health and stuff like this. I'm going to take a little sip of tea, and thank you so much for being here. I see lots of beautiful friends from all over the places. Janie, Pat, Lawrence, thank you so much for putting this link on Jinky22. Noel, all the way from Malaysia. Claire, all the way from California. Yes. Bobby from Chicago. Janine, thank you so much for being here. And so the first part, I think, is it's a little bit of a rant here as well, but I'm really enjoying it, doing it with you, because I know that you can connect on the level of understanding of the physicality and how our physicality transcends into the global health, but also our global health transcends into our individual physicality. So I'm inviting us to get more responsible for our individual feelings and thoughts, because they are eventually becoming thoughts and morphogenetic field of all the world. It's a very important piece of awareness that I'm hoping we all already have a sense of. Safety bubbles. Yes, I see this wonderful quote from a comment, safety bubble. So Safety bubbles are great, remembering that it's important for us to be in that safety bubble for a while. But as we're stepping out of our safety bubbles, remembering that we are intentionally and responsibly doing it. Mm-hmm. Right. Neuron is here. So the Gene Key 22 is also about suffering. And the suffering word, I think it's a very, very strong word. I think it's a very natural thing for human is to turn away from suffering. Our own suffering, suffering of others, not seeing it, not acknowledging it, and transforming suffering, though, is a very, very big thing. But before we transform our suffering, it's very important to actually acknowledge it and to know where is suffering happening within me, how that suffering might be actually affecting others around me, and also then working with that awareness of suffering. I see some great question. How can new moon help us? So, very, very simple way to do this here. As I'm mentioning that throughout all cultures, all regions of the world, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the time to go into the garden and plant new seeds of awareness. And I would like to emphasize here the word new seeds of awareness. I don't know how it is, maybe how you might relate to this awareness, but what you might experience through this year, 2021, is you might have a sense of something from your past is trying to call you into that memory or try to guide you back into your past through regrets, through maybe some pain of something being unaccomplished or something being lost in your past, right? So just like this question that we had, what did you lose? But also, this is the time to contemplate on something so new, so absolutely preciously different in your life that it should freak you out. Like if it's not freaking you out, I think that's the thing, right? It's not, that means your dream is not big enough. That means that also that your vision of that newness is not big enough. So with this new moon, I would like to emphasize the word new, because we have new moons happening throughout the whole entire year. They all very significant time to reflect and to plan new things. But this specific new moon is very much even more different because it's also implements within itself the awareness of Pisces, this watery awareness of fish and being as sort of deep and going deep in your dreams as you possibly can. So deep ocean awareness of fish and Pisces that you can implement here so you can visualize, dream big, really connect to the sense of your passion this weekend. Just take time to sit down and write down those things that you would like to do in your life, but you're postponing it, you're waiting for it, you're not sure how you're going to think about what you're doing, you're not sure how others are going to think of what you're doing. What I simply invite us to do to have a vision, what you would like to do, and take very first actionable, manageable step towards your passion, whatever that is. If your passion is in drawing, go and buy a brush and paint and see what's going to happen. And the next day, you pull out the piece of paper and just start drawing all of it. If your passion is in singing, start singing. 5 minutes a day. You don't have to just transform your life and completely make sure that that's about singing. Just do 5 to 10 minutes a day of your deep passion and see how this specific thing that you are going to start around this time of the year, around this very specific time of the year, is going to really flourish in September and then really flourish in a year time. But also what's important with this whole oxen energy of a bull, of hardworking bull, is to put in some discipline, is to put in some work. And it's simply like bringing the energy of fire, which is passion, into the energy of the earth. How you do that? You're not going to burn completely. You're going to put a little snippet of your passion into consistency, into what you are able to create in your life over and over again. Wonderful. I see some great comments on what you are about to start implementing in your life. And so a few other practical things that we can do during this time, during this full moon. So I won't keep you, the time flies because I'm having such a good time with you. A few other things that we can implement is the frequency of gratitude. And Dujunki is the shadow of our suffering, transforming our dishonor into grace. So simply becoming aware of the things that we don't own. Our passions, if we don't own them, then our life becomes very, very gray. There is no color, there is no life to our life. So the moment we become aware of our passions, giving them little touches of passion, we are invoking the sense of graciousness. And what's important is to feel this grace, because grace and gratitude have similar roots. How do you experience grace? Because you can't really feel grace. Grace usually comes down on us. That's what we say in English. You can become more open to this incredible frequency through simply being more grateful in your life. And this is what I would like you to consider writing down on a piece of paper or contemplating tonight as you are swimming in the energy of full moon, thinking of how gratitude feels in your body. Get very, very, very kinesthetic. Where do you feel gratitude in your physical body? Taking deep breath in. As you breathe in, where does the gratitude sits within your precious, beautiful bodies? Then the next thing, what we can also consider is how and when we feel gratitude and grace. Think of the moments when you experience, you think, the most profound touches of grace and gratitude. And you will see that that sense of grace and gratitude somehow connected to that what makes you fully awake, to that what makes you fully alive, to your passion in life. And that will remind you to tap into your passions even more so you can co-create sense of grace even more often in your lives. And then, as always, mindfulness and meditation as a very practical way of working with your reality. Meditation, mindfulness, and contemplation as the way to receive instant feedback of your environment, your instant feedback of what you are co-creating in your environment. Because if you are co-creating something that is harmonious within yourself, your meditative times, your contemplative times will reflect that back to you. And if you have no time to contemplate, if you have no time to meditate, you're just co-creating something haphazardly, dangerously. That would be easier to say. So you just keep on going over and over again. And for us right now, this is a crucial step this year to start creating things intentionally. So acknowledging our past and remembering and creating from the awareness of new things. So this is my invitation to you, my friends, to continue your contemplations. Whatever way you contemplate is the right for you. You know it. The moment you have more energy, the more you have aliveness. That means that practice, whatever you do in terms of mindfulness, works exactly for you. So do more of it. Become more aware of it. Go envision, dream new things today, tomorrow. Feel them, not just dream them, but feel them, and then think, what is one little step I can take from this dream? Because those little steps are going to increase, just like a little plant. plant it, and then we don't touch it. We just planted it, and maybe every other day we go and do a little work around. We water it, but we don't pull it. We don't make it grow. Just touch it. We give it a little touch, and then in 6 months, in a year, that plant gives us a fruit. So this is what I invite us to do this time around. Also, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. There are more reflections that are shorter than this video, definitely, on gene key transits that I've been doing as my personal reflection retreat from the beginning of the year. You can, every week, we actually going through a very specific gene key transit. And so instead of diving into the whole gene key book, just reflect on a very specific frequency of that week and see how that frequency of that week is corresponding to your life, corresponding to the global events, and how you are like a little fish, like Pisces, swimming in this ocean of awareness over and over again. Thank you so much for tuning in, being here. I am so overjoyed seeing all of your beautiful faces here, connecting, commenting. I can't wait to dive in and read more of the comments. Let me see if I have any questions. Novelty, Joanna, you got this. Is the word novelty. Thank you for posting YouTube links. Thank you very much. And beautiful full moon envisioning and creations. Big hug to all of you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and take responsibility of what you are creating. Bye.